Hello, Barn here, Cuckoo. So, I have just received an email and I wanted to say something about this subject. I've got this email, it says here, and it's about Amazon Electronics, and it says here, the retail disruption is pitting brand against ultra low price. Which matters more? So I've got something to say about that. Because it raises two really interesting questions for me. If a brand is inauthentic, if we are telling a story that is not true, fundamentally, then the brand counts for nothing. And therefore, a lower price is obviously the way forward. And we source our products elsewhere. Now, if the brand is more authentic, and I use the word more authentic, I don't think there's such a thing as an authentic brand, but a more authentic brand, the story they're telling is based on a truth here in the world of sensation, then that's worth something, and that costs more. So the first issue is about the authenticity of the brand. The other question is, and here we are in, I don't know what the official numbers are, but what feels like we're coming to a decade of austerity. And what that highlights politically is that what austerity does, in many respects, is it forces people on lower incomes to make buying choices based on price. And that, by default, prevents us from aspiring to buy into those stories, those brands, which have more value, where things are being done well, where things are being done properly, where health and safety is taken seriously. So, we're talking about this Amazon Electronics. The article is talking about electronics being produced in China for a fraction of the price of the branded products that we buy in the West, which of course are also made in China, and then a huge markup is slapped on. But the difference one would hope, if there's any authenticity in the brand, is that through that extra cost, some of that is finding its way into China to improve standards. And when we just go for the lowest cost item, what we're voting for in that purchase is the pollution of rivers, the mistreatment of workers. That's what you're voting for when you go real cheap. Now, it's a fair argument to say that if you buy into a more expensive brand, that could still be true. There's no guarantee. As we've seen, most brands are lies. Most branding is just story. It's made up. It's fantasy, intended to create the illusion so that we think we're buying into something of more value, when actually we aren't. But that's not true of all brands. And generally, as we imagine a better world, we then create a better world. And really, the point around austerity, I think, is really interesting, because that is an intentional desire to make a worse world. To say, we want you fighting at the bottom. We want you to go for the cheapest option. We want the river polluted and we want the workers abused. That's what that says. And when you look at the people pushing that agenda, when we look at their brand, the brand that says, let's take benefits away from disabled people, crawl up the fucking stairs. When we say that, when we aspire to that through austerity, as we've seen, I'm in Britain and that's what's going on here. When we see that, then it's little wonder that then ripples out into the world, of consumerism and beyond, and we make our planet more damaged, we make our lives more damaged, we increase suffering. And so we can see that branding can be used in these two different ways. We can aspire to more and bring that into the world, and we need to do that authentically. We want to do it, not just spin a story because it's a good way to make sales. So, I'm not sure if anything that I've just said makes that much sense. It's not in any context, really. But I wanted to just say it as a way of remembering the point. If for me and no one else, who knows? You may find this of interest.